Hey guys, good to be back. Yeah, woo! Yeah, we're back and it's been a while. It's been a year since my last RPG Storytime. So I'm going to try and make these as regular as I can. Try and bring them back. Since then, I have had so many more like D&D experiences, RPG experiences. I've even got my own game on the go called Mutated. More on that in a separate video, I imagine. But for now, I thought I'd share a story about the Durst Manor and the Curse of Strahd campaign. So, in the Curse of Strahd campaign, there is a small segment, an introduction segment, if you will, called Durst Manor, where your players go into a manor, a haunted mansion. Now, before I get into the story, I want to talk about the players. So this was when I was doing Travellers and Dragons in the Traveller's Rest, a local pub where I used to live, and I did RPG game like a couple of hours at night in this pub. It was free to join. Anyone was welcome. Everyone was welcome, including children. More on that in a second. So, we had like Lucy and Richard, who are part of the usual Travellers and Dragons videos that I have partly uploaded. There was also my neighbours at the time. They gave it a go. They've never done it before. But who else joined this game? I think it was like one or two other adults who I didn't really know, but I gave them character sheets. But there was also 3 children. Now, the eldest was called Summer. I remember that much. She had a friend / sister. I can't recall which. I can't remember her name, but we're going to call her Autumn. And he had a little sister who was about 3, 4, maybe at a push 5. Summer was 9, and this other younger girl was about 7 or 8, and the youngest, I believe, was about 3, 4, maybe at a push 5. They all joined as well. Now, at this point, I think I ran out of character sheets, because I only printed off so many. So there's only one character sheet left. The little 5-year-old, I believe, was just going to spectate. So Summer and Autumn, they shared a character who was like a fighter, essentially. So they couldn't decide who was like going to play the fight, and make all the decisions. There was a bit of talk around the actual table whether they should be somewhat schizophrenic, which the children did not understand, of course. Where they take it in turns playing this character, hearing different voices in its head and doing all that. But I made the idea that maybe it was a 2-headed fighter, and they loved that idea even more. They were kind of like an Etin, like a 2-headed fighter, like tall creature, who was basically with this group of adventurers. Now, I just want to stress that the creativity in children is something that I adore. Like, their spontaneity of decision making, I think, is definitely a high. I absolutely love it. So our players were making their way through Ravenloft, where they came across 2 children, a little boy and a little girl. Can't really remember the names of the kids. I'll include them here. You'll recognise them when I put them here with their names. They came across these children, and the kids were like, "Help! Help! Help! There's a monster! There's a monster in the basement! You're gonna have to come and help! My mum and dad went down there, and they went there to face the monsters! Ah!" The children were loving this kind of like acting, as were the adults, to be honest. But the children were like, "I'm going to pick up the child and ask it more questions." I'm like, "Alright, chill." And they were very intimidating to the girl and the boy, but they accepted the mission. The fighter was, anyways. I think Lucy's character, who was an apothecary, druid, herbalist sort of player, was kind of like, no, calm down, fighter. Can't remember what they called the 2-headed fighter. Calm down, fighter. It's fine. We'll go in there and we'll sort the monster out for you and free your parents. Don't worry, you're in safe hands with us. And this 2-headed fighter's like, "Oh, I'm gonna run ahead." So I'm like, "All right, we're gonna run ahead." So they ended up inside the Durst Manor, and after having a little explore here and there, they decided to go into the kitchen. Now, when they walked into the kitchen, the fighter decided to stay out of the kitchen and look in a completely different room, which I believe was like a cupboard. So Lucy, Richard, and I think if the other players went into the kitchen to have a little loot around. Lucy made a good check of like looking for any kind of herbal remedies to try and cure the little boy, because apparently he got like scuffled when he was picked up by the fighter, and there was little bits in between. I can't really remember, but I remember the boy being quite hurt because of the fighter. And I mentioned that the plates and the cups and the cutlery and everything in the kitchen was starting to vibrate and move and making a rattle. The table lifted, and Lucy said, "Oh, ice cream." I go, "Oh, help!" And I was like, "Right, that's good." I said to the fighter, "Roll a perception check to see if you can hear Lucy's scream." So they rolled, and I believe I said because they got 2 heads, they had an advantage, so they got to roll twice. And I think they got a higher result. So you can hear screaming coming from the kitchen. So they ran to the other door of the kitchen. Now, bearing in mind, we had kind of like little tokens, or like we drew on the map where everyone was, and the little boy was by the door. So I said to the fighter, I said, "You approach the door, what do you want to do?" And he said, "We're going to kick it down." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Now, bear in mind, they can see, like the players can see that the child is on the other end of that door. And I was like, "You're going to kick down the door?" Like, yeah, we're going to kick down the door and do like a big scream. I'm like, alright. So they rolled a strength check. Being a fighter, they have quite high strength, and natural 1, I think it was. I said, "Oh yeah, you break down the door," but as it flings down, it flattens the child, the little boy. The girls howl with sinister laughter. It was magnificent. I have to say, everyone at the table was laughing at the fact that this poor little boy, who was like about 5 years old, got squashed by a door, and standing up on top of the door, like big muscles out and holding their swords, they went, "Rah!" I said, "Okay, you make that grand entrance. Now what do you want to do?" And they said, I want to get the boy out from under the door." I was like, "Oh, that's nice. That's good. Roll me strength." And they went, the other little girl looked and went, "Hang on, we want to punch through the door and pull him out." I was just kind of looking at these girls like, "What's going on?" So I asked them to roll, and I believe they got something like a 18, 19, or even a 20, I think. And so they punched down the door, pulled out the child, who's covered in splinters, bruises, black eyes, everything, barely even breathing. Barely even breathing. And of course the herbalist druid was like, "Oh, come here, I'll fix him up," and she rolled like medicine checks and patched him up and everything. But that was one of my favourite moments, was just this titanous 2-headed fighter knocking down a door, then pulling him out from under the door. It was amazing. This is the thing, when you're playing with young children like that, they can come up with all kinds of like funny solutions and very funny problems for you to deal with as a DM. It's great. I do miss doing those kind of games. I do want to do workshops, like D&D workshops, where I play with children of that age range, because it can really be really beneficial, but it's also can be really funny and freaking hilarious, depending on the players, of course. If they're as sinister as Autumn and Summer. If they're watching this video, get playing again, stay that creative, and I hope to encounter you again at some point and play more games like that with you again. Catch you later.